Hi, I'm Scott Humphrey, CEO of the World Floor Covering Association, and this is Leadership Live. And this week on Leadership by the Letter, we're still on the letter K. It's a pretty tough letter, as I said, to find leadership words that align with it. But the word this week is kinetic. Yeah, it was a difficult word to find, but in reality, it really truly talks about the power of leadership. Here's what kinetic means: relating to or resulting in motion. Right? So we talk about the fact that leadership is activity. It's not simply existing. It's not a corner office. It's not a last name. Kinetic actually comes from the Greek word, which means to move. And is that movement that draws the attention of those who follow you. I once heard it said, some people change when they see the light, but others only when they feel the heat. The reality is the leader determines which of those is the motivator for us moving forward. So with this word kinetic in mind and the process of movement, how do we apply that to ourselves as leaders? Let me give you three things that are very important that you think about with this kinetic movement. First of all, you want to move now. You say, well, we just accomplished what we wanted to accomplish. We're resting a little bit. I'm just telling you the importance of moving within your area of accomplishment is vital. That activity keeps the blood flowing, so to speak, within an organization. So don't simply sit there resting on the accomplishment. Move. You can move within, you can move towards something, and yes, you can even move away from something that might be holding you or your organization, your family, your church, your community back. But move now. It's kind of like the story, a humorous story I heard of some country bumpkins that went into the big city, and they went into a big hotel to spend the night, almost like the Beverly Hillbillies. And they get in the hotel, and the father says to the daughter and the mom, y'all stay here. Me and Billy Bob are going to check it out. So they go inside, and they stand in front of an elevator, which they've never seen before. And they see this feeble old lady get on the elevator, and the door's shut. And they freak out. They're scared to death. They think that elevator has eaten that old lady. And they're panicking. They're calling security. They're screaming out loud in the lobby. And pretty soon, those same doors open back up. And the most beautiful lady you can imagine walks out. And immediately the father says, son, go get your mama. We can find whatever motivation we want to move, but we got to move now, toward, within, or away from something. Number two, you want to make sure the movement is with purpose. So Carl Benz in 1886 in Munich, Germany, had created the Mercedes-Benz, his first car. He named it after his daughter Mercedes. And he's driving it around. It's rather loud. The people in the city are scared of it. And so they put pressure on public officials and asked them to put a speed limit in place. 3.5 miles an hour within the city, 7 miles an hour outside the city. And Carl Benz realized there's no way I'm going to be able to sell this vehicle if that's all it's able to do. So he has an idea. He asked the mayor to go on a ride with him. And he takes the mayor for a ride. And he has staged for them to pull up next to a milk cart where the horse is drawing this carriage. And when they get there, the guy on the milk cart flips him off and runs off. And so it's basically a race. And so the horse is obviously outrunning them. And the mayor says, hey, you got to go faster. And Carl Benz says, man, I'd love to, but I can't because there are laws that tell me how fast I can go. It wasn't long before those laws were changed. 1886, a man with a lot of wisdom made a movement that he did on purpose to change the speed limits that allow us to be where we are somewhat today. Finally, I would tell you that you want to move because it's the right thing to do. Don't simply move, but move because it's the right thing to do. In World War II, in the countryside of France, there was a battle that went on. It became pretty intense, and an American soldier was killed there. His friends, his colleagues, not wanting to leave him on the battlefield, really wanted to give him a Christian burial. They remembered a small rural church outside of the city, and so they went there and they found an old priest, tan face, very ragged wrinkles on his face, and just everything about his appearance looked of wisdom and passion. And somehow they tried to communicate to him their desire to have their friend buried at the church. The priest didn't speak English very well, but he understood enough to communicate back, I'm sorry, but you have to be of the same faith as us to be buried within the fence at the church. And so they turned to walk away really disappointed. But the priest says, but you know what? We can bury him outside the fence. And so they don't really understand that, but they think it's a good alternative. And so they dig a a hole outside the fence and they bury their friend. Well, they go back to their platoon and they get notice that they're going to be moving somewhere else. And they want to go back and say goodbye one more time the next day to their fellow soldier. And so they go back to the church. They can't find the grave. Now, it was late and they were frustrated. And so they didn't know if they maybe forgot where they buried him. And they went back to the priest and they said, hey, do you remember where we buried our friend? Because we can't find the grave. And we know we buried him yesterday. It was late. He said, yeah, I moved the fence. The priest saw the passion within them and realized the right thing to do was not to eliminate somebody from being buried within the fence, but he moved the fence. Kinetic movement. There are people within your tutelage, people that are looking to you, and they have fences in their life. They have barriers that are holding them back, and maybe somebody told them it's the right thing to do, and maybe it was at that time. But the reality is now that fence needs to be moved. And your leadership is what allows them, or sometimes even you, to move the fence. Move now. Move with purpose and move because it's the right thing to do. That's what kinetics is all about. Relating to or resulting in motion. Now go out there and lead.